Hello everybody, my name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be talking about the controversy between G3 Ministries and Protestia. Last week, over the weekend, G3 Ministries accused Protestia of gossip and slander. We're going to talk about that controversy because it is an objective example of hypocrisy on G3's part, and it's also an addendum to two videos that I did last week. The first one being on Steve Lawson, and I discussed how he was a fake pastor, and also the report that he's not a member at his own church, that is Trinity Bible Church in Dallas, Texas. We're going to talk about that story, but this is not a Steve Lawson video. And then we're going to talk about the Joel Webben and how people tried to go after him. And I think those people do include James White, and it does also include people like G3 Ministries. So I'm going to talk about their role in this because I didn't talk about that last week. But there is a juxtaposition between how they treated Steve Lawson, their former friend, and how they treated Joel Webben. And this just reeks of hypocrisy. So we're going to dive into that, but first I want you to know Evangelical Dark Web is a Christian news gathering and commentary ministry. You can support our work over a Patreon-like system at evangelicaldarkweb.org/join. You can get access to more content, and the Zealot and Peacemakers get a free copy of my book, Winning, Not Winsome, which you should get it. You should check it out. It's on Amazon, linked in the description below. So the first part's the Steve Lawson part of this story. G3 Ministries insists that Steve Lawson was a member of Trinity Bible Church. Now, this contradicts the previous reports that he was not, in fact, a member, and that was based on a couple of things. One, the lack of a confirmation that he was, in fact, a member. Two, that the church is not interested in carrying out any sort of church discipline on Steve Lawson at all. So that's an indication that he has no real membership there. There's no real mutual accountability there. And they just removed him like he was a 1099 contractor, and that's the end of their relationship. And that has been what it has been so far at Trinity Bible Church in Dallas, Texas, that they're not actually practicing church discipline over there on someone who is, according to G3, a member. Now, when G3 came out with their statement, in the video that they produced, Josh Bice, who's basically the head honcho over there, he slanders Protestia. I'm just going to read the comment that he made about Polemic Ministries, because this is very much pointed at Protestia. So it's right here. And it talks about, as the announcement reached the public, discussions quickly followed. Recently, more details came out, with some claiming that Steve Lawson wasn't a member at Trinity Bible Church. This information circulated through podcast and polemics websites, sparked confusion and critique on social media. Some even questioned our vetting process, suggesting that G3 Ministries has failed local churches. Now, this is pretty telling of a paragraph. I kind of think that these entire statements are dedicated to protecting the reputation of G3 Ministries, who profited off of Steve Lawson with no real vetting process, indeed, is the word that they use. I'll roll with that. They did not maintain the fact that he was an elder. They ignored the obvious warning signs that he was not an elder or pastor at his church, and he was a mere hireling, which is against their very stated and very self-obsessive brand of ecclesiology, which is made very apparent in this statement where they talk about how G3 is so much lesser than the church. And Protestia, when they respond to this, they go after that. And I think it's kind of funny that when they go after that. But when they say polemics websites, they're mainly talking about Protestia. They pioneered and popularized, if you want to call it popular to use the term polemics. They were definitely the website, or Pulpit and Pen, now Protestia. They were definitely the people that made polemics a more used term in evangelicalism. And Protestia, just for clarification, they cast no shade at G3 Ministries. I did. I'm not going to, hold back. I'm not going to pull punches, not saying that they did, but I definitely threw shade at G3 Ministries for their lapse of judgment and vetting. And so did the podcast. They threw shade at G3 Ministries. Protestia did not, but nonetheless, they are accused of slander and gossip in this. And the gossip accusations are more up here. And it talks about how destructive they are and how it's spread like wildfire in the church. And they say that they have two sources from within Trinity Bible Church that say that he is an elder. Now, Protestia responded to this, and obviously what's interesting about their response is they go after G3 Ministries for their comments on ecclesiology and how they suggest that they're lesser, whereas because they don't like using the term parachurch ministry, they use like a sub-church ministry and stuff like that. So David Morrill wrote a response, and he talked about how Bice's statements confirm that two sources within Trinity Bible Church, that Lawson and his wife were indeed members of that church, reporting the reporting done to the contrary as rumors and false accusations that spread like destructive wildfire. And he referenced basically the polemic websites just as I did. And he continues, the false information is apparently our determination that Lawson was not a member, as no attempt was made to dispute the more serious claim that TBC had a non-pastor or non-elder preaching their Sunday sermons, given the various definitions of membership employed by evangelical churches and TBS's elders being the determiners of membership. Whether or not Lawson was a member is entirely subjective. Most tellingly, the reporting that TBC is not disciplining Lawson is de facto proof that he is not a member in any real sense, no matter what anyone calls it. Then Protestia goes on to talk about the ecclesiology of Trinity Bible Church, where the elders have carte blanche. They basically have such arbitrary power to they could retroactively make Steve Lawson a member to save face. But if the elders want to clear this up, they should talk about this and set the record straight. Their refusal to do so pretty much leaves this as a wash. But G3 expected, due to their institutional prowess, that everyone would just roll with it when they claim that he was in fact a member of the church, even though their proof is no better than the proof that Protestia and the With All Wisdom podcast provided. Now, this brings us to a tale of two controversies, is what Joseph here on Twitter X at djoes24, he talks about the hypocrisy of G3 Ministries, and that's where I want to kind of end this video, is talking about the hypocrisy. So Josh Bice, I believe this is a tweet that he made in response to the Steve Lawson controversy, and he says, God has established two courts for adjudicating and addressing sin and crimes, the court of the church, and his ecclesiastical court, and the court of the state, a civil court. It would be wise to refrain from airing out issues and engaging in gossip on social media about a person's sin. Allow the church to engage the matter and remain patiently hopeful that the due process of church discipline will produce good fruit for the glory of our great God. Now, obviously, we know that Trinity Bible Church is not interested in practicing church discipline on Steve Lawson, so everything that he's saying here is unapplicable to that situation. But we do have something that it is applicable to, and other people at G3 is, a few people, Josh Bice, Scott Annual, and also Virgil Walker, kind of the three musketeers of G3 Ministries, and they were promoting Tobias Riemenschneider's slander against Joel Webben over an ecclesiastical matter. Scott Annual tweeted out, the white nationalist, anti-Semite underbelly in some evangelical corners is thankfully being exposed. Thankful for brother Tobias. and he promoted that. This is just hypocrisy at its finest, because Joe Webben handled this at an ecclesiastical level. They did not respect the ecclesiastical decision that was rendered by a Baptist church, and they're Baptists, by the way, so they should respect Baptist congregational polity, but they do not do that if it's inconvenient for them. So there's a lot of hypocrisy going on at G3 Ministries, and that's what I wanted to talk about and just further expose. They don't really believe in this ecclesiastical nonsense that they spew, or ecclesiocentric, I should say, not ecclesiastical, ecclesiocentric, in which they afford the local church a lot more authority than it actually has. And shame on you if you try to do journalism or, layman reporting on stuff going on in the church, because that's an ecclesiastical matter. But if Tobias wants to slander another pastor who's not even in the same country as him, they're going to promote that. They're going to boost him. It's hypocrisy. So that's all I got to say about that. My name is Ray. This is the Evangelical Dark Web. Have a blessed day. Stay base. Christ is King. And we will catch you on the next one.